That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Let me see if I put him off hold. Yeah, there we go. All right, Mr. Steve from Arizona.
Yes, hi.
You're live on the air. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, hey, Rabbi. Hey, big fan of your show. Listen to dozens of your videos. So my question has to do with, the church fathers who decided what books were going to go into the Christian Bible. And my point is that I don't think any of them were professional Hebrew scholars or scribes. So that just leads me to believe that they were a bunch of amateurs. They were not professional Hebrew scholars. And so we've got amateurs who have decided, what books go into the Christian Bible. Does that sound about right?
Yes. I mean, there were only two church fathers that were completely fluent in Hebrew, only two. One of them was Origen, a 3rd century church father, and Jerome, who was 4th and 5th century. Those are the only two who were completely conversant.
Two out of how many?
Oh, hundreds, right. Only two of them. And they were not the ones. They were not the ones who decided which books go in the Bible. When I say Bible, I mean here the Christian Bible, the New Testament. The decision was made. That means the first time we have a list of the 27 books of the Christian Bible, what's in and what's out, is a list made by Athanasius, was a very important church father. He was, at the time, the year is 367. He was the bishop of Alexandria. He's a very famous, extraordinarily influential church father who is more famous because he argued for the doctrine of the Trinity at the Council of Nicaea itself. Athanasius at that time was not the bishop. At that time it was Alexander, who was the bishop of Alexandria. But he's the one who battled Arius at the Council of Nicaea in 325. Athanasius was a proto-Orthodox church father, and he made the decision. But it even gets more simple than that. I mean, who decided that Matthew wrote Matthew? And Mark wrote Mark, and Luke wrote Luke, and John wrote John. After all, none of those Gospels identify the author. The authors are anonymous. In fact, the only reference to Matthew in the book of Matthew is an author referring to Matthew as a tax collector in the third person. He's not telling us that he's Matthew. The person who does that, who even tells us Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote those 4 Gospels, goes back to the bishop of Lyon, Irenaeus. So Irenaeus is actually from Turkey, but he was what today is modern-day France. So he's the one who says these 4 Gospels were written by these 4 individuals. Prior to that, you won't find any of that kind of stuff in like Justin's writings. It's not that they didn't know about these 4 Gospels. They did. They didn't have these ascriptions assigned to them. So it's not that they weren't quoted earlier. They were, but they just weren't quoted as it says in Matthew or as it says in John. And the end of the book of John, whoever wrote the last chapter did not write the rest of the book of John. He makes it clear that he is not John, meaning he's not the disciple who Jesus loved. So this is really late stuff. Them not being able to read Hebrew, right. So the only 2 church fathers who completely fluent in both Greek and Hebrew was Origen, 3rd century church father, very influential, but he, as far as the church goes, although he's held in very high esteem, he's not completely proto-Orthodox, because he didn't hold to the doctrine of the Trinity as it was hammered out in Nicaea, and for other reasons, Christians, but he still was a brilliant guy. Legend has it that he was actually of Jewish stock. Legend has it. Jerome learns Hebrew, and he learns it in the land of Israel. He produces the Vulgate. So he learns Hebrew from rabbis. He and he translates the Vulgate. He dies in Israel. He dies in Bethlehem in 420. So you're right. And I'll tell you something crazy here. Crazy. I'm not a fan of Roman Catholicism, as you can imagine. But the Roman Catholic apologists, defenders of the Roman Catholic religion, as opposed against the Protestants, they're right, because the Protestants adopted the claims of the Roman Catholic Church, because all these guys are Roman Catholic. Irenaeus was Roman Catholic, right? Athanasius was Roman Catholic. So when the Protestants claim sola scriptura, and the Catholics are going, what are you talking about? You wouldn't even know what's in the New Testament if Roman Catholics didn't tell you that. So where's your sola scriptura? Again, I say this, I guess it's a little uncomfortable, but the Roman Catholic apologists are correct. The Protestants are completely, utterly relying on Roman Catholic Church fathers who decided which book should be in and out. And it wasn't a slam dunk case. There were many books in the Christian Bible that were controversial. Most controversial, the book of Revelation. Should it be in? Should it be out? A lot of people thought it shouldn't be in, right? The shepherd, should it be in or out? We know this because if you go to the 4th century famed manuscripts of the Bible, like Codex Vaticanus, Sinaiticus, these are what the Christians thought was the whole Bible. You have these books, right? But today it's not considered canon because the church changed that. But what's the point I want to drive home is the Roman Catholic apologists, those who defend the Roman Catholic Church against Protestants, their argument that you are relying on Roman Catholic tradition to even know what's in the canon is bulletproof. And Protestants can't argue that. They just fall apart on that argument. What Protestants should be doing is saying some of the traditions of the Roman Catholic Church are true and some of them we don't accept, but they don't do that. The Southern Baptists cannot do that. They won't, but they get stuck. They always trip themselves up in this regard. So it's all Roman Catholic stuff, books in, out, the book of Hebrews. Should that have been included in the 27 books of the New Testament? Depends who you asked. The book of Hebrews, the epistle to Hebrews, was the case that was made was that the book was written by Paul, was authored by Paul. We know it wasn't, but that was the argument. And ultimately, the book of Hebrews was regarded as highly orthodox. Unfortunately, it's a very well-written book. It's a systematically well-written argument against Judaism, and the church just drooled over it. I think many more church fathers thought in their heart of hearts that Paul didn't write. I think they knew Paul didn't really write it, but they liked it so much they just went with the stories. All right, let's put it in there. So yes, it's Roman Catholic, and the guys who decided were not Hebrew speakers, not Hebrew writers. Jerome had nothing to do with this decision. The decision was made before Jerome. Anyways, thank you so much for your thoughtful questions, Steve. If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה